It begins on a quiet evening in late summer when the heat of the day has drained away, but the air still holds warmth like a memory. You are somewhere between Marfa and Alpine in West Texas, where the land opens itself up to the sky with a kind of generosity you rarely find elsewhere. The road stretches out before you in a ribbon of asphalt, vanishing into a horizon painted by the last light of dusk. The dashboard lights glow soft amber, casting gentle shadows over the worn leather of the steering wheel. You can smell the faint scent of mesquite and creosote drifting through the cracked window. Earlier, there was a brief rain shower, and now the earth gives off that sweet, familiar fragrance of desert sage and wet dust. There is a peace in this part of Texas that is almost palpable. Vast ranches roll out on either side of the highway, dotted with slow moving cattle and windmills creaking in the breeze. Far off to the south, you know the Rio Grande meanders through canyons and cottonwood groves, separating one world from another. Above you, the sky is turning from cobalt to indigo, the first stars beginning to twinkle like timid thoughts. Cicadas sing their evening chorus from the grasses that line the roadside. The hum of your car's engine becomes a kind of lullaby. You've embarked on this road trip alone, but never lonely. The night invites introspection. As the miles tick by, you find yourself reflecting on all the roads you've traveled in life, the choices that led you here, the gentle turning points that sometimes felt monumental and sometimes felt like they hardly registered. Each mile marker is like a quiet reminder that time and distance are relative when you're immersed in your own thoughts. Beyond Van Horn, the landscape shifts, the hills rising to meet the sky. The Guadalupe Mountains cut a sharp silhouette against the stars. You can't help but slow down as the road begins to wind upward. Even at a crawl, your heart lifts at the sight of the desert peaks bathed in moonlight, their limestone ridges like ancient bones of the earth. The air is thinner here and carries a slight coolness. The smell of pine mingles with the familiar desert bouquet, hinting at the forested heights above. Somewhere above, a hawk may still be circling, searching for a last meal before nightfall. You find an empty overlook and pull over for a moment. The engine clicks as it cools, and in the silence you can hear the whisper of a distant wind. The sky is now fully night, blanketed with stars. The Milky Way is a river of light sweeping across the darkness. You lean against the car and breathe deeply, inhaling the silence, the resinous scent of juniper, the faint tang of dust that has traveled for miles. With no city lights to compete, the stars feel closer, almost within reach. You close your eyes and let the stillness wrap around you, the cool granite beneath your fingertips, grounding you in the moment. Back on the road, you descend into New Mexico briefly, passing through open plains and small towns where neon signs flicker outside diners and motels. You hear distant radio stations as you drive through their fading footprints, snippets of an old country song, an evangelical preacher's earnest sermon, the hiss of static. You pass under occasional overpasses and small bridges, where the darkness thickens, then emerges again. The orange glow of a distant refinery or the scattered lights of a town can be seen far off across the flatlands, like islands in a dark sea. Crossing into Arizona, you feel the subtle shift again. The air becomes drier, the soil redder. Saguaros appear like silent sentinels, their arms raised in greeting or farewell. The desert here is iconic, a landscape of myths and movies and childhood imaginations. In the stillness of night, the saguaros cast long shadows across the desert floor, creating a patchwork of darkness and silver light. You slow down and roll the window all the way down. The desert sings softly, the wind whispering through cactus spines, the soft chirp of a nightingale, the distant yip of a coyote. There is something deeply calming about driving through this sea of succulence under a sky filled with stars. You stop in a small town along the way, perhaps Benson or Wilcox, to refuel and stretch your legs. At the gas station, the attendant is watching a black and white movie on an old television. The smell of fried food from a nearby diner lingers in the air. You pick up a coffee, even though you don't need the caffeine. The warmth of the cup in your hands is comforting. Returning to your car, you feel the gentle breeze tug at your shirt, carrying with it the scent of distant rain. You tune the radio to a distant station, maybe something drifting across the plains from Oklahoma or New Mexico. The guitar strums and gentle harmonies blend seamlessly with the hum of the engine. As you approach Tucson, the lights become denser, a glow rising on the horizon like a dawn reversed. You pass by sprawling saguaros silhouetted against the urban glow. Even in the presence of modernity, the desert's timelessness is felt. The city is a brief interlude, a place where people gather, sleep, and dream. You drive through quietly, your thoughts suspended between the solitude of the open road and the hum of city life. Beyond Tucson, the road climbs again towards the Gila Bend and into Yuma. The Colorado River cuts a lifeline through the parched landscape. You cross into California for a moment, then northward into Nevada. As you ascend towards Hoover Dam, the temperature drops slightly. The mass of concrete in the darkness looms like some sleeping giant. You can feel the latent energy of the water held back, the engineering that carved this path through the canyons. In the moonlight, the dam's curves and angles appear almost sculptural. Driving into Nevada, you find the road empty again. The desert here is expansive, punctuated occasionally by clumps of Joshua trees reaching into the sky like abstract sculptures. Your headlights sweep over the branching limbs, casting twisted shadows that flicker across the road. In the quiet, you can almost hear the desert breathe. Approaching Las Vegas from a distance, the sky begins to glow with an unnatural luminescence. The city bursts out of the desert like a ship of lights sailing through darkness. For a moment, you consider driving through, feeling the energy of people awake while most of the world sleeps. But tonight you are seeking something slower, gentler. You skirt the city on a side road and find yourself on a quieter highway that leads towards the Mojave. The neon glow fades behind you. Ahead, the road stretches into darkness once more. The clock on the dashboard ticks over to 2 a.m. Fatigue washes over you, not the kind that demands sleep, but a soft heaviness, like a weighted blanket draped across your shoulders. It's the feeling of being suspended between worlds, neither fully awake nor fully asleep, existing in a liminal space where memories rise and fall like gentle swells. The hum of the tires against the asphalt becomes hypnotic. The desert's silence is punctuated only by the occasional whoosh of a passing truck or the distant buzz of a power line. In the stillness of the Nevada desert, you begin to tell yourself stories. You recall tales of those who traversed these lands before, miners and migrants, drifters and dreamers, each chasing their own horizon. You think of the indigenous peoples who have called this desert home for millennia, whose stories are etched in petroglyphs on rock faces, whose songs ride on the wind. You imagine all the whispers and laughter, the hopes and fears that have soaked into this soil over time. It makes your own journey feel small and yet profoundly connected. As you drive, your thoughts become less concrete. You find yourself thinking about the nature of journeys themselves, about how each road leads to another, each choice opens a new path. There is something deeply soothing about surrendering to the road, trusting the lines to guide you, letting the stars be your companions. There is freedom in this movement, but also a comforting rhythm that makes you feel safe. You realize that this trip isn't about the destination. It's about the act of traveling, the meditative quality of watching the landscape unfold and change while you remain in a moving cocoon. The desert night deepens. You pass by an old abandoned diner, its neon sign half lit, flickering quietly. You imagine what it once was, a place where truckers and travelers stopped for coffee and conversation, where lonely nights were broken by shared stories and laughter. Now it stands as a monument to stories past, a silent witness to countless journeys. Eventually, you find a small rest stop near a cluster of Joshua trees. You pull in and cut the engine. The sudden quiet is startling, almost complete. You recline your seat and close your eyes, letting the cool night air wash over you. The scent of sagebrush and sun-baked earth fills your nostrils. You hear the distant call of a night bird, the whisper of wind through the Joshua trees, the faint hum of insects. Your breathing slows, matching the rhythm of the desert. In this pocket of stillness, you drift on the edge of sleep. The road, the memories, the landscapes you've crossed begin to blend with dreams. Images of endless highways, sun-bleached signs, mesas glowing in the first light of dawn, mix with thoughts of distant friends and future journeys. The world narrows down to the sensations of the moment, the softness of the seat beneath you, the gentle rise and fall of your chest, the cooling of the night. You feel held by the desert, by the road, by the stars. Slowly, gently, you let yourself drift, trusting that when you wake, the road will still be there, stretching out like a promise into the wide open world.